Taking a fair break, they are back into the Challenger Series, looking to get themselves into some serious competition. So, let's see how much of that hard work is going to pay off. As Azir going to be first off the table, I don't think either of us are really surprised by that. Nope. We've already discussed how, while there are a lot of mid lane changes, the old dogs are still king of the hill, as we do have Azir, Ryze, still really top of the food chain when it comes to the mid lane there. Haven't really had many changes happen to them, or any at all. Yep. And if anything, the new itemization has made them better. Exactly. So, very likely to see them banned out pretty much every single game, but that does give us a great opportunity to see some of the new mids that may raise the power. We have seen Lissandra today. We've seen, well, actually, a lot of the interesting picks like Taric. Yep. We've seen Gnar. We've seen Trundle. And so, funnily enough, the big mid lane change, we're seeing changes everywhere else.
That's true. We saw Vladimir, it lost. We saw Swain, it lost. Yes. And let's hope we see another cool champion. Hopefully it wins this time. Yeah, I mean, Brown would be super cool. I know Zarya had some changes and she's very strong, but I don't know if they'll pick it up in competitive play. Did have some bans sweeping through. It's going to be Lissandra you were just talking about. Lucian's going to be taken off the table in this game. Zed is actually aimed up in the mid lane against Caps. And there's the Ryze you're also mentioning. And also the Fizz. So lots of mid lane bans.
Second Fizz ban of the day.
Yeah, second Fizz of the ban of the day. But yeah, also Fizz is just really strong right now. He just blows people up left, right, and center. So definitely benefited from the item changes.
And the bug was fixed on his ult. So
also
you can't cleanse that anymore. So basically everyone playing the game are like, drats, they found out. We have to ban Fizz now.
Yeah.
But a lot of Assassins taken off, so that makes me wonder that Caps is actually the player that G2 Vodafone are a bit afraid of. They don't want to give him anything too powerful or anything that he can run away with. That does lead me to think that he is going to go more towards that Assassins. Now, we have seen some LeBlancs today. Godbro did get super fed, and it's when you get super fed very early when the curse comes into effect. So what Caps needs to do is he needs to have a gradual progression on that LeBlanc, and then just inflict pressure on the side lanes rather than getting all the kills for himself.
Okay. We'll see if Caps does indeed go for that playstyle, because so far from the bans, I mean, all three of them going up mid lane and two of them being Assassins, we have to assume it's going to be one of those types of picks. So LeBlanc, maybe even like, I don't know, a Quinn or something. Godbro picks up that
Quinn
one
for a while. Could be
Not
cool,
a long time, but was banned earlier today. So maybe she's coming back. Trundle was the first pick coming out from Mouse, and that was a fast lock-in of Gragas and Kalista in from G2.
Seen some priority on Trundle recently. I guess people are valuing him quite a lot. Echo, once again, still available. And they've actually valued the Trundle over that, which really confuses me. Because Echo, with the item changes, is just straight up dumb. He is. You can build Rod of Ages on him, just like you can with Swain. So he has a bit of extra oomph in his kick. He also can go down to the Rift Out, and if he gets that, he is insane. He is so good. And then you just go into full tank. You can go the Iceborne Gauntlet as well, but just having that extra bit of Rod of Ages. Remember that his scaling was increased. That's what they tried to make mid lane Echo stronger. So get the item that scales really well, scales with your abilities. Where's Echo? Challenger teams, where's Echo?
I haven't played the pick, but you're so passionate about it. I was just like, damn, I really, after this is done, I want to play some Echo. But it's so funny because when we see the pick banned, it's not picked. But then otherwise, it's just taken off the table. So it's bizarre. Gragas picked up for the jungle. We saw great Gragas plays early in the day.
It could be top, though.
It could be. We've seen players pick that up before. Kalista, as we already mentioned, great in the AD carry role. Swapping to the other side, got the front line coming out, got the Alistar, got the Trundle, and also the Sivir. So we're going to look towards that. But also, we've got the next two lock-ins going to be the Victor and the Braum.
Yeah, so it does look like that right now, G2 Vodafone going for a bit more of a team fight composition. We used to see a lot of Braum and Kalista in the past, and it was a terrifying duo pair. Those guys, the thing about Braum is he's fantastic at disengaging, fantastic at providing peel for your AD carry, and then by pairing him up with the Kalista, you now turn him into both an engage and a disengage at the same time. So having that Kalista allows a lot of variability, and remember that Kalista gains a lot more damage when she's with her Oathsworn. So with Braum, he's typically just going to stick with you. He may look for a couple roams, but he's typically not known for that roaming supportive style of play. So I do like this pickup. I believe it's actually going to be the first Kalista of the day.
It is, for sure.
So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how that one plays out.
That's true. You told me that you're not very good at skill names, but then you just named Oathsworn, which not even a lot of people know, so that was very good. I was very impressed by that. We had the last couple picks coming out. Well, you know, it's going to be LeBlanc, so we knew that he was an assassin player, and he's just going to bust that one out. So we also had the last pick, and that's going to be Gnar, who's also coming back. We've seen a lot of Gnar today. Actually, a lot of Gnar.
So how do I feel about the Gnar into Trundle matchup? One that I honestly say I haven't seen in a while. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Saw it earlier today.
Oh, we did see it earlier today. Yeah, we did see it earlier today.
Previous to that.
That's what I meant. So it typically, I want to say the advantage ever so slightly goes towards the Gnar. Trundle in the early game, very well known for not being typically lane dominant.
Sure.
And when you have a range advantage on top of that, and when you're pretty mobile with the Gnar as well, I can see that being a pretty obnoxious matchup for the Trundle. So we may once again see another lane swap come out. The lane swap coming out earlier on worked out very nicely for 4G initially, but then ESG were quickly able to turn that one around. So that might come out this game. So it's... I'm not sure if I'm happy to say that lane swaps aren't dead, but a lot of us in the office thought that it could be the death of lane swap with the changes to jungle experiences. But having a couple more discussions, as long as we have what happened with 4G, where both top laners experienced the same deficit, then overall, it's not that big of a change.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, the lane swap worked. I mean, the other lane swap would have worked if the tower didn't survive on 9 HP. So as long as that doesn't happen, you're good to go. We did also have a bug with one of the room pages, or one of the mastery pages from Dan, so it's going to be remaking the champion select, same picks and bans, and we're going to be seeing that one very shortly. So the players are just in the lobby, and we're waiting to go with that one very shortly.
So that gives us a great opportunity to talk about the comps, though.
It does, yes.
So
can you remember them?
So, on the... I'm going to start with the blue side, because that one's clear on my mind.
Okay.
We had the Gnar up in the top lane, Gragas in the jungle. We had the Victor in the mid lane with the Kalista and the Braum down in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, on the other side, we had the Trundle up in the top, the Elise in the jungle. We had the LeBlanc in the middle lane.
That's true.
And then the bottom lane is the Lucian and the... I can't remember the support. That's the only one. 9 out of 10. I'll take 9 out of 10.
That's pretty solid, because I can't remember like any of them. So. Good job.
So, we can talk a lot about how the LeBlanc is going to be that assassin. It is actually going to be the Alistar. Oh, it's the Sivir Alistar. No! 8 out of 10.
Because Lucian was banned.
Lucian was banned. That's why. Damn.
Oh, well, that's still a good ratio.
Thwarted my evil plan.
Yeah.
So, the LeBlanc, assassin, in the mid lane, Caps. We identified that he was that assassin player based on the bans, and he's been given an assassin once again. Now up against the Victor. Victor can trade relatively well between levels 1 and 5, because he does have that siphon power. And the great thing is, every time LeBlanc jumps in with the distortion, every time she jumps back, you know where she's going. So it actually becomes quite easy to land that death ray, so you're guaranteed damage every time you trade with her. And the little shield helps a little bit out in the 1 versus 1. So 1 to 5, it's okay. When she gets Mimic, that's where things really start to hurt for Victor. He really needs to then get that Abyssal. He needs to get those resists, because the LeBlanc really starts to dominate that lane, especially given that she's gone for the Ignite, while the Victor has only decided to go for the barrier. So that matchup will start to swing in Caps' favor. We'll just have to keep an eye on how much pressure Mouse decide to put on there, because if I remember correctly, Dan was the guy that was the split push. He was known as the Rek'Sai Black Cleaver guy that always sat in the side lane. So how much pressure does he put in this mid lane? How much is he going to help facilitate this assassin mid?
That's one of the questions we had into the game. Also, top lane, we touched on it briefly in Champion Select, but we saw this match earlier today. I believe this was the one that was influenced by the Herald buff. So yeah, basically whoever gets it like later on into the game, because yeah, Nar's going to dominate the lane, but then it'll get to the point where we saw last game, it's like, yes, you may have like a super scaling like Swain, but at the end of the day, it's still Trundle. So Trundle's just going to hit you with the club, and then he's just going to win. So depending on who gets the Herald buff as well, I also want to see if they run the Mastery, so it goes up to 23 minutes, because that's a long buff. That lasts for most of games.
Dank.
However, that last game, it wouldn't have even lasted for a third of it. So
yeah, that was a very long game. I'm impressed if you guys stuck with us, because we do have... This is our final game of the day between Mousesports and G2 Vodafone. This is Group B. So we've already seen Group A matches, and this is going to be the Group B matches. Final day of Group B matches, but then we're back here tomorrow.
We are, and then the day after. And we take a break. And then after and after. We have many more days to come up.
So many challenges. We have 12 teams here all competing for that spot in the Challenger Series. And to be fair, I originally had... My top 4, personally, were Misfits, Low Priority, Fnatic Academy, and Kick. I think those were going to be my top 4. But after seeing some of the plays from the other teams, that started to shake up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And not only just the different teams, also that top 4 you were just talking about, because I completely agree on those top 4. But then we saw Fnatic Academy saw them face Kick earlier on in the qualifiers, didn't do so well, and they saw them face them against Low Priority. also didn't do well. So I don't know how to feel about Fnatic Academy anymore, because they have games where they're really strong.
Why do you play with our hearts,
exactly,
Fnatic
right?
Academy?
Like, and then they just have like a game today where it's just like, oh, I guess they just got wrecked. So we have 4 more days of them to prove themselves. So we'll have to see about Fnatic Academy. But still interested in this matchup with Mousesports and G2V. Mousesports, they change the roster all the time. They kept Dan, so they obviously have faith in his split push Rek'Sai Black Cleaver build, as Black Cleaver is now 400 gold cheaper. So
yes,
we picked it up earlier and split pushing earlier. So
yeah, you and I were talking about this during the first 2 games of the day. We were having a bit of a theory craft, and it was like, oh, why do you think Nars come back into the top lane?
Yeah.
And we do think that it is due to the reintroduction of Black Cleaver really being popular. Now that it is cheaper, you can hit that power spike sooner, and so on that Gnar you can have a bit of an impact. And if we just remember, there was a point in particular where I remember Gnar met Trundle in the jungle, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, why is Gnar destroying this Trundle? And he was like,
just chunking him
was
down.
just like, it's Black Cleaver, dude. Look at the Black Cleaver. It's crazy.
But it's like, but it's lost some AD, and I was like, it's like 5. It's just like so much damage. But yeah, no, it's really cool to see that matchup, and we have another one in this game. But also talking about jungle picks as well, like we've seen a lot of Gragas today, actually.
We have.
And also Elise. We saw Elise earlier today because like the top junglers were kind of taken away, like Kindred was taken away, Graves was taken away, and it was like, well, oh, and also Nidalee. So it was like, now we'll go for the Kindred, or the Elise rather.
A lot of junglers are left open, though, this game. A lot of junglers.
Yeah, they prioritized the Elise anyway.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So they wanted that value. I guess that was more of a comfort pick for Dan. Thinking back, he used to be that Elise Rek'Sai player, so maybe because he's been playing the champion for such a long time, this is something that he just feels more comfortable on, and something that he's just going to go back to. And Sivir, we've seen varying picks since MSI. A lot of the Korean teams back in the LCK put a lot of value on Korea. Coming into MSI, that priority sort of shifted. It changed a little bit. In part, I feel due to the range supports, but also Sivir not always being able to get to a point where she can have that same sort of impact in team fights where you have that massive AoE damage with the Ricochet. So she is going to be coming back in this game as well. Looking forward to seeing it. You do have way more engaged potential from both these teams. So this will not be a 60-minute game. Both teams have a really easy way. They have an easy way to force these fights. You have the Kalista Braum combo. You have the On the Hunt as well as the Alistar flank coming in from the side of Mouse. The Trundle pillar as well, flank engagements. But it is very much relying on flanks. I do feel like that is something ESG struggled with. They didn't have great vision control or deep vision control to enable them to set up those flanks.
True.
So with Mouse's experience, you'd expect them to be able to control that vision, given how long they have been playing in the Challenger Series. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, hopefully, like, Dan has the memories of his ancestors, and it's like, okay, I've been in this position before. But if you have just joined us, we're just waiting for the teams to get into game before we start this one up. So we're going to be maybe another couple more minutes before we get into this one. But I also want to talk about, like, this is the first time we've seen 6-10 and even, like, anything past the mage changes that we've seen on 6-9 in, like, competitive play. And with what I was expecting is like a lot more bloodthirsty games, and that's pretty much what we had through most of the day. Like the dragons were actually like causing fights, and then people were fighting over objectives, and it was more around like the mid game and early game. The last game proved me wrong when we had an hour game. But anyway, we're gonna get into this one. It's Mousesports up against G2 Vodafone. Almost messed that one up, but we are into game. They're going to be on the red side this time around, and they're all going to be fanning out. So maybe we'll see a lane swap. I believe you hinted at it as we were in the champion select, but we'll see if they actually do that in game.
So you kind of want to avoid the Gnar versus Trundle matchup. It is kind of rough for the Trundle. And Kalista versus Sivir, I would give the edge over to the Kalista Braum. Typically, you would pick Braum into the Alistar, really good at kind of the disengage. Every time Alistar tries to go in, he's then going to have to take the Q and the damage from this return from the Braum Kalista. So if you can avoid that matchup as well, that would be good for Mouse. And so typically, Mouse just want to avoid standard lanes. They want to go for that non-standard lane style of play, and then go for these early turrets. And we'll have to keep an eye, again, on what the top laners decide to do, because experience has changed in the jungle, and if you stay a little bit too long, notice that the turrets don't drop as easily as they did before.
So, Incas is going to be going down here, and it looks like we may have a lane swap, as Falco and Sao, I guess, go into the top lane. Falco is very much easier to pronounce for my dumb British vocabulary, but Falco, can't wait to see what he brings to the table. Maybe he's got the moves, we'll have to see. And So is going up here. He's actually, what is he doing? He's actually just kiting the camp by himself here. Now he's moving away. Is he actually going to take this camp?
Well, right now it does look like that Falco just trying to be a nuisance as Mouse continue their double jungle. Dan actually denied that level 2 as a result of that, which could be pretty big in terms of the momentum for Mouse right now. Still sharing that experience. Oh, flashing age from Norskren.
And Mini Duke is dropping very low. Crazy, oh, not Crazy Caps.
Wow.
God damn it! And now Caps is putting more damage onto him. When you've casted a player called Crazy Caps for like an entire split, it kind of has drilled into your mind. But it's just Caps. He's not crazy.
It is
that play was almost
Caps.
Crazy, but that was an exhaust being burnt. Mini Duke didn't
burn
anything.
Nothing. The cojones on this man were phenomenal. This guy,
Ocean.
The flash engage came in from Norskren. I personally would have made my funny noise, and then I would have immediately panicked, burnt all of my summoners, whereas Mini Duke was just like, yo, what's up? And he walked away. LeBlanc only being level 2, he knew she had no kill pressure because she didn't have the chains yet, so we didn't have to worry about that. There's no damage coming out from Norskren, and even through the exhaust, he just doesn't care. So all summoner spells gone for Norskren, and I think Mini Duke will be pretty happy with that.
And Wardane, Norskren, and Upset are going to be taking the bottom lane tower, so we're just going to get the tower trade as per usual. Also Caps is trying to put some damage onto Mini Duke. Landing at Death Ray fairly easily in that lane. Dan's going to be taking his own blue buff before going into that bottom lane and taking this tower away. But they have a lot of momentum on G2V, who are only now really getting onto that tower. Next minion wave comes in, and Mouse have already taken the tower. That's actually going to go split between everyone in that push. So we'll see if they can do anything with this momentum.
And because of this, it means that G2 are going to be too slow to try and stop any kind of Drake push. So Mouse could look to try and get that objective very early on, which would be great for them, because the more dragons you get, we've seen the impact that they have. You want to try and get those as early as possible. So with G2 now in the top half of the map, all going to recall potential objective for them. We do see the pings coming down from Dan. I think that is going to be what they look to take.
Yeah, Incas, he's just farming up the enemy jungle right now, and we are getting some back. So what are we getting? Yeah, it's going to be the duo lane going into the top lane here from Mousesports, and Sendo is going to be farming up this minion wave. So Wardane is now into the bottom lane, and we have everything swapped up. That's a call picked up by So early on into this game. And Falco has also gone for the Ruby Crystal, so everything business per usual.
Yep. I'm having a look at some of the vision drop down right now. A lot of deep vision coming out from the side of Mouse in the bottom half of G2's jungle. As I say that, that's just faded away as Falco goes a little bit heavy onto one.
Yeah,
but
he's
that's
good.
Just gonna force him back. TP actually used to the top, so Mouse, they want to try and continue this tempo advantage that they have to get a lot of damage down onto this top turret. Immediate response coming out from Sendo, and he's just gonna do exactly the same in the bottom half of the map.
Not quite immediate, but a little bit delayed. But yeah, he
got it. He
got it. That was the point. He's down there with his team. Mini Duke in the mid lane.
I have arrived.
Bit of damage out from Caps, but a lot returned by Mini Duke. He held onto the laser, actually. Was predicting the fact that Caps would not just immediately jump back to Distortion. So held onto it and landed a lot of damage in return. So ultimately won that trade. So that was some nice micro interactions in the mid lane.
So you can see the 1 to 5 that we were discussing during Champion Select. Mini Duke does have a little bit more pressure up against the LeBlanc, and that will change once she hits that level 6 mark. You can see that she does have a little bit of the CS advantage. So coming back to lane, she will have an ever so slight item lead, or at least gold lead, and that presence will change the matchup. You know, you can see Caps struggling right now in the health department, but that will change as the lane progresses.
Yeah, for sure. But he will go back to base for the time being. Sando, he's going to take down this bottom lane turret, and the dragon will go over to G2V. First one of the game. It's going to be Ocean. Pretty nice one to have early on to this one. It's percentage health back, so that will be helping them all the way through this game. Very nice to have. And Upset, he's back into the bottom lane. So let's see how this one pans out. But G2V, if they can continue to prioritize these dragons, it will be in pretty good shape. I believe it's 4% right now on the
4% of missing health and mana per 5 seconds, if not damaged by champions within 8 seconds.
Wow, you've got like very much an encyclopedic memory for that one.
Yeah, it's it's almost like I had it in front of me. So so right now, nothing too much happening in the early game. Mouse, with this assassin in the mids, want to be the aggressors in the early game. They want to move into the mid game with that item spike, and they want to try and have that spike a little bit ahead of G2. So you kind of want to be at a point where you've kind of got an item and a bit, whereas G2 have only just got an item, because you do have this snowbally style of comp, and as long as you have an ever so slight advantage, the raw base stats that you have from this comp will enable you to quickly turn that into a snowball. So keep an eye on Caps, keep an eye on his roaming around the map, but with all this non-standard lane shenanigans going on... Oh, hang on a second, Mini Duke.
I think he's good. He's got the Aftershock now on his augment. But Norskeren, he's going to be coming into the top side of the map. Lots of people closing in. Falco's coming in, going to throw in the chair. And Upset was off to the right-hand side, but there's going to be no collapse, and Mouse managed to make the great escape out of the G2V jungle.
Yeah, fortunately, he did have the support of Norskeren at his back, so nothing to be afraid of. And so, things, non-standard lanes result in this, both AD carries focusing their farm, and the top laners just picking up what experience that they can right now. They notice that they're just trying to set up a freeze. You can see it coming out from Sendo in the bottom half of the map. As the mid laners just do what mid laners do, which is farm. Because these days, mid laners do need that first item before they really have an impact around the map. And you tend not to see the 1v1 kills anymore these days, because they're very cautious of the positioning of the jungler. As I say that, Caps.
Oh, he's dropping low. The Chaos Storm is chasing him down, but he's out of range of the pain zone. And Upset is going to be dodging outside of that ring as well. We've seen how much damage it can do. Mini Duke saw the last game, or rather Caps did, and it's just like, yeah, I'm going to respect it this time.
Yes,
make sure I don't stay in the circle.
Mini Duke going for that very early Null Magic Mantle, helping resist some of the burst potential coming out from Caps, which I feel like helped him quite a lot in that last engagement, able to force Caps back. But Caps still holding onto that Goldie. Looks like Caps actually going for a very early Abyssal Scepter with the Fiendish Codex that now does build into Abyssal because of the cooldown reduction that it provides. Whereas Mini Duke prioritizing his Hextor upgrades, which is very standard for what we see from Victor. Wants to upgrade that death rate, wants to make sure that he has that wave core available so that he can shove that LeBlanc under turret as much as possible.
Mid lane, Upset is now there, soaking up the minion wave while Caps is taking this blue buff, and we'll have to go in with the Mimic because it survived on 32 HP. Norskeren also rotating up here as well. Just a lot of movement between these lanes because we have a lane swap, and this is kind of what we were expecting from like pre-6-9, where these teams would just go back and forth. There was a bit of momentum from Mouse, but they weren't able to convert it into too much. They do have that slight gold lead just from the farm, pretty much, from most of these lanes out of the jungle, top lane, mid lane. AD carry is the only one who's slightly behind. No dragon on the board because G2V picked it up earlier. Caps. Ouch. Yes, that's a lot of damage. Level 8, still has the Ignite. Dan is going to try and take away this blue buff. I don't think there's any enemy smite nearby, but Dan doesn't have his own smite. So we'll pick up anyway. That goes to Upset. Okay, that's pretty good, because he was low on mana anyway. If he's not in like a 2v2 laning phase, it's very difficult for Sivir to continue clearing waves, because a lot of your mana income comes in through your E and blocking spells. So having the blue buff is actually very convenient for Upset.
Yeah, I'd be pretty happy if I was the Sivir right there. Ooh, Caps. Doing a bit of a god bro there, going over the wall being like, hey, I can hurt you, and then Mini Duke being like, you sure about that?
I feel bad that it's become like the god bro. You just like jump over the wall, face check into blind visions, the god bro.
Oh man.
I feel bad.
It's more about the LeBlanc curse. He's not reached there yet, he's still 0-0-0. This is where you want to be. The curse will not take into effect because the curse relies on that overconfidence that I do feel Godbro did demonstrate. You know, when you're, it's that feeling of power. You know, you feel like, I have my death cap. I feel like a real wizard right now. I could do so many cool things. Think of all the magic that I could do. Wait a minute, if I just did my magic onto my opponent, think of how much all of my teammates would love me. And then you get driven crazy by the death cap, and it's why it's called the Rabadon's death cap, because Rabadon's got crazy drunk with power. It drove him to death, and that's exactly what Godbro did. So he's just reenacting the story of Rabadon's death cap. I don't know if any of that is true, by the way. But it is now.
You've got to commit. You've just got to be. I believed you. I was just like, really? I guess it is. This guy seems to know what's up, so you just got to commit, man.
I mean,
when you
Rabadon
go for a story
cool
like that,
guy.
just commit.
Yeah, Rabadon was a cool guy, and then the death cap ruined it.
Okay.
So, back on track. Glimpse of the Void picked up for the side of Mouse.
Yes, it is. Over to Wardane as well. So last time I think we saw the Gnar pick that up, so we'll see how this matchup swings in Wardane's favor. Really not right now, but later into the game, because he's got that for another 20 minutes, where he'll be able to have a little bit more power up against Sendo. But honestly, we haven't really seen them be in a 1v1 yet, because we've had lane swaps, now he's up against a Kalista, so he'll be feeling the benefit of that a little bit later. It's kind of like a long-term investment for Wardane.
Certainly is. CS advantages, there aren't really any. Farm is pretty even across the board other than in the AD carry position, but I imagine that once Upset moves back to that bottom lane, that will equalize out. Inferno Drake next on the board. I'm sure that G2V will want to stack that up with their Ocean Drake that they've already got, as both teams looking to contest right now. We are hitting the 12-minute mark, so not quite the mid-game. You can see a couple items being completed. The Runic Echoes finished for Dan, so he's going to be pretty strong on that at least. The Abyssal Scepter also finished for Caps, and this is a pretty good spot for Mouse. We talked about earlier how you kind of want that item in a bit to try and go for the fight when you have this sort of snowbally composition, and that's exactly what Mouse are looking for right now by forcing this Drake.
And Dan's going to be starting off for his team as well. So, Infernal Dragon Hype. This will be the second one of the game. I still want to see a game where we get triple Infernal Dragons, because the damage is just nutty onto the entirety of your team.
24% additional damage.
It's
so
a lot.
Just for context, if you did 1,000 damage, oh, hang on the hunt.
Mini Duke, he's hopefully not going to receive that 1,000 damage in the mid lane. He's going to be jumping back, has to use the flash, but Falco is there to save him. He's got the moves. And Mouse will back off into their jungle. And everything just dissipates. Everyone's going to go back and just peacefully farm for now, 30 minutes into the game.
So you do have Flash and Flash from Dan. He tried to follow up with the Flash Cocoon, wasn't quite able to get it. Mini Duke did have to burn the Flash on his own, which means that the Caps now does have a little bit more kill pressure. But we're really yet to see him be dominant in this lane. We were excited to see this assassin mid laner come out. A lot of respect bans came out towards him. The Rise, the Zed, and the Fizz all taken away from Caps. And now that he's on this LeBlanc, he hasn't really managed to show his stuff just yet. Hasn't really looked for any sort of roams. Has just been sitting in the mid lane, picking up his farm. He wants to wait for these items before he starts to try and make any sort of play.
That seems to be what he's looking for. Top lane, though, looks like both of them are going towards the Hydras, the Hydra items. Wardane is going definitely towards that one. Has the Tiamat picked up. Meanwhile, Sendo gone for the pickaxe and the... Well, I have a mind blank. It is the Drone's Fist.
The Drone's Fist. So, interesting itemization. We do actually see, it looks like the Titanic Hydra are going to be coming out from water. Or actually, that may very well be the Ravenous Hydra, given that he's gone for the pickaxe.
Ah, yes, good point.
So he might be looking for a little bit more aggression up in the top lane. Likely to go full tank following that. But things a little bit slow, like we saw in the previous game. But again, we talked about how there's way more engaged potential, and it's just about waiting for that mid-game, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, we're not going to 60 minutes. You have the Vedia stamp of approval that this will not go to 60 minutes.
Now we're going to go to 80 minutes. It's just like,
what, do a full complexity?
Yeah. 80 minutes, the dream.
No, you need a Ziggs versus a Xerath to get an 80-minute game.
That's true, that's true.
And both of them have been changed. It could happen.
I mean, okay, we have like a Sivir and a Victor. Those are pretty strong wave players, but maybe not on the same level as Ziggs, yeah. So, that was a lot of damage, by the way, from Caps. Yeah, we haven't really seen a kill by him, but we've seen him flex his muscles again onto an unfortunate AD carry who happens to be wandering along and gets hit by a full combo from Caps. Carrying out these wards constantly in the mid lane. 50 minutes in, haven't had any kills just yet. It's been 2 towers to 2 and 1 dragon apiece. It is the Infernal Dragon to Mousesports and the Ocean Dragon to G2V so far in this game.
Alright, so we've talked a lot about the game so far. I want to use this as an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the teams, because I want to think about Mouse and how each team plays each other once, right? So you need, the more wins you have, you need to come top 2, right? Top 2 is your goal as the team, and the idea is that if you're in top 2, then you can fight for that spot to make it into Challenger. And so you have to get through, at the very least, 4 other teams to make it to that point. So every win matters. You don't get a redo. Mouse and G2 will not play against each other again. This is all they've got. So for Mouse, as an organization that has been in the Challenger Series for a very long time, you have to wonder about the pressure that weighs on their minds. Because this is a new roster. Dan is the only returning player. But the other players may feel a sense of responsibility. Mouse have been in the Challenger Series for a long time. We need to keep this team here. as the fight kicks off.
Everyone's going to go for this engage. Incast with the ultimate coming in. Northgren's going to fall. So will the mid lane. Miniju's going to bite the dust. Wardane's dropping low himself. Caps is going to come in with a great distortion onto Su. Not quite enough damage to take down his ally of Falco either. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but for support for mid lane is a pretty good trade for Mousesports.
So these are the fights that we wanted to see. Mouse kicking off that engagement with the On the Hunt, trying to force that kind of a pick to suddenly swing the game in their favor. They have been able to get a lot of damage down. They're trying to continue the siege onto this tier 1. I don't know if they can pull it off though.
Oh, send out. Oh! He's just dead. Incast, he's also going to get chunked down here. Dan, that's Bidlings will pick up the kill. The mid lane tower is being sieged in. And just like that, Mousesports just know how much damage they can deal.
Beautiful cocoon coming out from Dan to set up for the boomerang blade as well as the burst coming out from Caps to easily secure that kill over in the favor of Mouse. They're going to come out for a 3-for-1 in that engagement in what was a beautiful demonstration of power in this mid-game fight. So let's have a look at this fight. Miniduke is the target focus, and because it was a 3-pronged attack with the pillar combined with the forward engage from the LeBlanc as well as the flank, there was absolutely nothing that Miniduke could do. Yes, the Alistar overextends just a little bit, but now G2 feel that they need to keep this turret alive. I feel like they should have disengaged. They didn't need to stick around this long. You have to remember that Sendu on this Gnar is still pretty squishy, and you're going to see that right now.
Waiting for it. Literally just drops where he stands. That was insane damage. I just wasn't expecting that to happen, but the reverse swing on Boomerang Blade combined with the rest of the damage they had. Yeah, look how dead he is. Very dead. He got very dead.
On a scale of 1 to Ted. Ted?
1 to Ted.
He is pretty Ted right now. As,
good stuff.
So, now, Mouse, feeling pretty happy. This is the snowball that they were looking for. They need to just keep this momentum up right now. LeBlanc working towards that Morella Novicon. Once she's got that completed, she's going to be a very happy chappy and look to try and roam around the map and get as much pressure down as possible. Potentially get a pick down onto Miniduke, who doesn't have his barrier available, still has the flash, has come back off cooldown, as well as the On the Hunt. Upset currently on no mana, so they're likely not going to be looking for that anytime soon. But as I say all this, Dragon spawns in 10 seconds.
Extremely hyped for that one. Let's take a look down there and see which one it is. It's going to be an Ocean Dragon. So let's see which team really wants that one. G2V, that'll be the second one. So
I just got it. It's a tidal wave, isn't it?
Yeah. That is what it is.
I've just realized that it's a tidal wave. So there you go. Again, learning on EU Challenger Series.
We got it. Okay.
We got it.
Yeah, if G2V are collecting them, then they would like the second one. That would be very nice. And that'll be like all of the regen. So G2V are hovering around the area. They would like this. I would like to see the stacking Ocean Dragons.
He needs to be a little bit careful here. He is by himself. He has no team around him.
He does. He does not.
Well, he has no team because Braum not really in a great position to provide him support if the event that they decide to engage with him. So has now rotated round as On the Hunt gets popped.
Yeah, but he's not really good peel. That's going to be explosive cast onto one player, but unfortunately there's still 3 there to secure his death. Incos, he goes down. And now Ocean Dragon, unfortunately, not going to be collected by G2V, so that's going to be an Infernal and an Ocean Dragon now over to Mouse. But the question is, how much can G2V do with the fact that everyone just got committed to Dragon? Dan's going to solo this, so the rest of the members from Mousesports will move into the mid lane to stop the push from G2V. So G2V, actually, they have nothing to do. They have to back away and go. They get red buff. That's what they get.
We got our own red buff, boys.
Okay, perfect.
Exactly, all calculated, well planned out. So this is what we were talking about. Incos needed to be careful. He didn't have the sort of support to really contest that Dragon. You have to respect the On the Hunt. Really good for setting up picks, especially when you combine it with the Cocoon from the Elise. Just a little bit of an overstep coming out from the Spanish lineup as they give away that Ocean Drake. Kill lead now extending to 4-1 in favor of Mouse as the Baron has now spawned. Completely forgot about the fact that Wardane does, I believe, have the Glimpse of the Void.
He does.
He still has about 10 minutes left on it.
Oh, good.
So he can continue split pushing. He can still be that nuisance up against Sendu. And for those unaware, Glimpse of the Void is the change to the Rift Herald. So now when you get that buff, if you're on your own, but you're very lonesome, you get 5% damage reduction. Oh,
he's fine.
5% damage reduction as well as a bit of extra damage because you build up these stacks, and once you have 100 stacks, you do that nice little, I believe you do lightning damage. I think that's a little cool animation.
Purple lightning.
Purple lightning. Isn't that a song? No, Purple Rain.
Blue Lightning or Purple Rain. Yeah. You combine the two, you get a glimpse of the void. Yeah, it used to be Eve's Doom or Doom's Eve, one of the two. I think Doom's Eve makes more sense because it's not Evelyn Doom. She is pretty ripped right now in the meta. Falco and Inkos have found Caps. And Caps is going to jump away. He's just trying to pick off this pink ward here. And they're still fighting over. Caps is going to jump back in once again. And pick that one away and only use distortion. So still has
me. This is my pink ward now.
He's secured the area. Also to note is Sendo has finished his Frozen Mallet. So actually Wardane just can't get near him. Because Sendo will continue just to zone him away. I wonder if it's Sendu or Sendo, because one of them's a 0, so you can't really pronounce a 0.
Sendo, come on.
Send-0-0. Perfect. Wardane.
There are pings coming out from Mouse right now. They have on the hunt. They may look for a pick. But no, they're just going to disengage. They do have the 4-1 lead right now. G2 a little bit worried about the potential engage coming out from Mouse, and Caps actually being the one to split push, which I quite like coming out from Mouse. Very few people can deal with him at this point because Sendu doesn't really have the itemization, and Victor a little bit squishy. Flash engage from Inkos.
Nice. Coming in there with the E. Not so nice, just knocking away Caps to safety. And Sue is like, well, I wanted that kill, but I guess I'll take these minions instead.
Me! Hey, what are you doing? That was sort of So's reaction right there. But Caps still played it well. He did get the flash out. Ooh. But Caps wants revenge.
He really does. Dan's here as well for the cocoon. Follows it with a venomous bite. Caps needs a little bit more. The sigil comes across, but a heal from Sao is... No, I keep changing his name every single time. So he managed to keep him alive with the flash and the heal to keep Inkos trucking. He will go back to base as well.
Keep on trucking. Yeah, I was surprised about the amount of damage that Inkos actually took there. But then, as you called out the heal, that is exactly why Inkos was able to survive that. But now, 3 members strong from Mouse in the middle lane. They're going to try and set up a siege.
Now, Falco is there, however, so he's going to be blocking up all of this damage onto the tower. And Caps is going to be jumping away as well. So 4 kills. As you mentioned before, nothing has really changed. Just a lot of small skirmishes has been happening across the map. What are we looking at in terms of item builds as well? So, pretty much to be expected. Out of the jungle, Dan's actually prioritized the Abyssal Scepter, which is you were calling out in one of the previous games.
Do you like it?
As one of the builds, you've got to go Caps in the mid lane, Morella Nomicon, and also the Abyssal Scepter as well for him. Also the build we would have liked probably against the Swain, looking for an early Morella Nomicon.
You're a game too late, I'm afraid.
Both of these players as well. And on the opposite side, pretty much to be expected. Spoke about the top lane builds. Sue as well has picked up the core. The core has been completed, and the Blade of the Ruin King has been picked up.
All right, so one thing that we haven't talked about much with the last 3 games of the day is the introduction of these eyes that you've been seeing the supports picking up. And having listened to Crepo's stream the other day, he was talking about how the addition of that ward, that 1 extra ward that you do get, is super valuable right now. Supports really value having that extra bit of vision, given that so many people value having all these sweeping lenses now. So just having that bit of extra ward allows you to drop that extra bit into the Baron, that extra bit into the Dragon, and given that neutral objectives are so much more valuable right now, you want to have as many wards at your disposal. And not only that, they're pretty cool right now. This is a pretty cost-efficient item, the Eye of the Equinox in particular, and you do also have the one that builds out of the Spell Thief's Edge, and that gives you cooldown reduction now, which is fantastic for a lot of range support. So you might see that on a couple of Namis, Jannas as well. So just for those new supports learning a little bit more about the bottom lane, you will see this itemization a little bit more. And it does mean that you can prioritize that Locket of the Iron Slurry as soon as possible. Because remember, a lot of magic resist items have been reduced. So getting that Locket as quick as possible with all these new AP items coming into the game is super valuable in the meta right now.
You can't see Vedas right now, but he is pointing at you.
I
can't see him. Yeah,
I don't know why.
He's lecturing you. But yeah, really good point. I think in terms of numbers, it's around like it gets you to your next item around 800 gold faster in terms of cost efficiency, as you mentioned. So pretty good. 800 gold is a lot for supports because they really don't get a lot of gold compared to the rest of the people on the map. So now the next dragon has spawned. Let me take a look down there. It is the Air Dragon.
The Cloud Dragon.
Cloud Dragon. That's the one. It's Cloud. Of course it is. I said Air a previous game, and I was like, that's not right. So Cloud's going to be on here.
He's walking through the air.
He is.
Sort of. He might be flying.
He's flying through the air. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that would be right. Not scurrying. He's going to fight Sendo, and I guess we just kind of have a...
He's going to walk away.
Yeah. It was like, that was very dramatic, but there's Fate's Call, going to throw him back into the team. Falco goes in onto Wardane. Dan now onto Sendu. He'll be backing off himself. That Storm is doing so much damage. He's going to flash away, but Sendo will find the kill. Caps is also slinking off to the top side of the fight. Inkos will fall here. Mousesports onto Sue, and that's a double kill coming out for Kalista. That is going to be 4 for 1.
Wow.
And the Cloud Dragon over to G2V.
G2V stepping things up as... Oh,
Caps comes in for the play onto 4 people. Just back into the pit. Doesn't get the steal. I like what he was looking for, but that's 5 people down for the count. 26 minutes into this game. G2V looking very healthy.
Really impressive stuff coming out from G2V. They recognize that they have the 2-item power spike that they've been looking for so long, and because Mouse weren't able to take advantage of that early lead that they had, things have now started to go in the favor of G2V. They have the Abyssal as well as the Mark II Hextor and Miniduke, and he did so much damage combined up with Sendo that it was nice for them.
Into game very shortly, I believe. But yeah, so it's going to be harder and harder for them to set up the plays that they want to versus G2, who will find it probably much easier.
Yes, moving forward, we need to look at what both Mouse and what G2 want to do to try and close out this game. So, looking at the composition from Mouse, their objective this game is to snowball. They have fantastic pick potential with the Trundle landing those pillars to split up the team.
Like that.
They have On the Hunt, yeah, just like that. They have On the Hunt as well to try and catch a person out of position. You saw Inkos down in the bottom lane getting caught out, and they could look for catch someone out now.
Norscaron coming in with the combo. Miniduke is just so dead. Falco tries to defend him. Now he's going to be backing off, but that's not Falco going down today. Norscaron was just trying to zone people away off to the side. And Inkos should be able to defend this tower. Doesn't have his ultimate, though. And Sendo is kind of separated us from his team. Oh, going to hop over the wall. He's good to go.
So there's the pick that we were just discussing that Mouse needed to really start making their way back into the game. They still have On the Hunt. They just used the pillar combined with Norscaron to set up for that pick, and now they're in a great position to get this tier 2 turret in the bottom lane.
Our Caps is coming in. He's going to be blocked by Falco there. And the bot tower is just, it goes down. 28 minutes into this game, and despite that last dragon and that last fight going over to G2V, Mouse still have the momentum in this game. They pushed in mid lane, didn't take the tower, went into bot lane, smooth rotation, picked up that one, and somehow Mouse is just in the lead again. 4,000 gold, so very interesting dynamic.
I don't know. I was convinced that G2, I mean, the gold score was about 1,500 just before the pause, and now
they have a lot of gold.
Yeah, now the Mouse have a lot of gold. It's pretty insane. So, going back to what Mouse need to do, pretty much that. Come back to controlling vision. As I say that, just have a look at the minimap right now. Look at all these red wards littered across G2's jungle right now. This enables Mouse to set up for those flanks, set up to get picks as G2 is rotating around into these different lanes. You can already see the top wave being pushed towards G2. Trundle heading down to the bottom to set that lane back in motion for Mouse. And this is what Mouse need to do. They're playing their composition exactly as they need to, and they're not letting that last team fight affect them too much. All they're going to say is, okay, let's not do that again. Let's avoid Dragon unless we can take it for free. Team fighting bad, picks good.
And that's exactly what Mousesports are doing in this game. Very impressed by the clarity that they've had. Because generally, you'll see teams like lose a fight, and it's just like, well, got to back off now, because clearly the momentum's in the opposing favor. But G2 have not been able to put that down in this game. 2-2 Dragons in this game, of course, as we mentioned before the pause. And Inkos, he's been skilling up that Q into the W, and then E finally going to be last on his skill order priority. Caps is coming back into this mid lane, maybe looking for a pick. That's definitely what he's looking towards, trying to continue that snowball from happening. Not too many more items have been picked up. It looks like the Iceborne Gauntlet now from Wardane as well will help him up against the Gnar. Red buff now picked up by Sao.
Alright, so we talked earlier about the pressure that Mouse might be experiencing. That looks like he hasn't disconnected, but we talked about the pressure that may be on Mouse earlier, and based on the way in which they're just happy to pull the trigger and force the fights, to me suggests that they're not really feeling any pressure at all. They're feeling quite comfortable with this new lineup that they've been able to put together. G2V though, how much pressure are they under? Because they have the sister team that they want to look up to. Imagine that they want to achieve a similar sort of results that they did, and
Yeah, Champions of Europe. Yeah,
yeah, Champions of Europe. Yeah, it's okay. So, how much pressure is weighing on their minds right now? They won a fantastic team fight, but now they're still on the back foot. They're down in turrets. They're down in overall map control. And how much will that affect them as So goes for the play?
Sends in Falco.
Oh, no.
The minion blocks the chair, and I'm sure he's making a very similar noise to that one right there.
I make weird noises.
You do. I have discovered that. But you also have fantastic English phrases, which I'm sure I'm the only person who understands out of many people watching. That was the one earlier, Happy Chappy. That's a solid one for sure.
Sneaky sausage. I've been trying to sneak
sausage.
in.
Yeah,
but we will. Well, that's the badger. That's the first time I've ever gotten that into a cast. So gotta thank you for that one. Yeah, that's the badger. It is a real phrase. We looked it up.
However, that was Urban Dictionary, so I'm not sure how valid that was.
That's reliable.
But Mini Duke, he's into the mid lane. Pretty equal farm with Caps actually, which is interesting. Generally, you'll see a lot of LeBlanc players with lower farm than their opponents.
Yeah. Yeah. But can definitely get on board with that.
He's ahead by 1.
He's ahead. Whoa! Caps going crazy.
1.
He has gone for that death cap third, which does support the idea that we were talking about earlier, which is very much about, hey, let's try and get kills and kill stuff. And with this deep vision that they're constantly trying to get, Caps wants to try and get those picks. He's sneakily gone into the ban. Here's the sneaky sausage.
Here it is, and they're going to find Falco. Look at the damage going into them, but everyone is in the Chaos Storm from Mini Duke. Teleport now coming in. This is giving time for G2V to reposition. Wardane, he's just kind of in the middle of everyone, but he's got the subject gate. He's just not going to die in a hurry. Falco's going to get pulled in, but I don't think he wants it. And Northspherian, he's coming in. Falco, he's still living. And now Mini Duke is going to get blown up, but that's not Falco going to be falling. Senzo, he's looking for those auto attacks onto Warden. Look at the kiting going down, but he's 1 versus 5 in this situation. So this is not really where he wants to be. 2-0 over to Mousesports. Great fight.
So Mouse constantly going back and forth, back and forth. Caps doesn't realize he's sitting in a bush full of wards, but he doesn't care. He's going to use that to force Sendo away, and Mouse should be able to pick up the Baron off the back of this. Excellent execution coming out from Mouse. Just using the Baron pit from Caps was just beautiful because he was just dancing. If he got into too much trouble, I'm going to go back into the Baron pit. I'm going to wait for my cooldowns, and then I'm going to jump back in, knock you out, and then I'm just going to rinse and repeat. And it was just phenomenal execution. I was worried about the hyper-aggressive build with the Death Cap, but Caps, he is making it work.
He really is, and just talking about the positioning last fight as well, as another tower goes down. Looks like the Ocean Dragon will go over to G2V. They managed to sneak that on the backside, so that will be a small consolation prize. They may go down for this privilege, however, because Caps coming in, so is Northspherian, and Upset. Falco, he's dead, and Dan is also getting chased down by Sendu. Sao is also there. There comes a Boomerang Blade. Caps is going to call out by the Chaos Storm, but we'll jump away with Distortion. So that was 2 kills over to Mousesports, but that was an Ocean Dragon over to G2V. So the second one for them, but the third one of the game. Mini Duke, again, just caught with his pants down. He'll be falling down. And back to the fountain for him.
So Mouse, again, finding pick after pick after pick, doing exactly what their composition needs them to do. And now with a massive numbers advantage as well as the Baron, they can easily push onto this tier 2 turret in the bottom lane with their 10k gold lead, and they're likely going to get the first inhibitor.
Doing what their composition says on the tin. Is that an English phrase? I feel like it is.
Says on the tin?
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of tins in the UK, so probably.
Bot tower is very down, and now the inhibitor's going to fall as well. 20 seconds on Mini Duke and a Baron wave. They're not going to push any further.
Look at the mid.
I was a little bit scared. Yeah, mid lane's now pushing in. Easy rotation. Top lane is pushing in for G2V, so someone will have to react to that. But look how fast the tower goes down. Inhib's just going to fall equally as fast, and G2V will have to deal with these minions flooding into the base now. And Mouse, I'm sure they just want to go back and spend all of their gold, because they have 3,500 on Upset and another 1,000 on most of their members. So
let's backtrack to that fight beforehand. Mini Duke insta-flash at the start of the fight. Falco takes the brunt of the damage, but Mouse just say, let's reset. Teleport comes on through. They're ready to go. They are so focused on that teleport, they don't recognize that Caps is still sitting in the Baron pit. G2 have no vision, so Caps can just keep doing it over and over and over again. So overcommits, trying to reposition in a way that allows him to get the damage, but Caps is just waiting for the play, and he's able to get that kill onto cell, which then signals the snowball for Mouse to win that team fight. Phenomenal stuff coming out from them, and Mouse with a really impressive team fight.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the next little part of that, which was 1, the Baron going down, 2, the Dragon going down, and 3, the ensuing fight.
Yeah, so you can see there the pick quickly coming out from the on the hunt.
It was
from
just
the
as fast as that.
Yep, and here we are, Minidu getting called out once again, as you rightly said, with his pants down. Does Victor even wear pants? Isn't he like robot legs?
Robot trouser things? Yeah, maybe he doesn't even need pants, but whatever he has down there, they were down. Falco, he's going to find Norskeren, and Inkos, he's actually dropping. Like, that was a big crit from Upset. Sandu is also down. That's a double kill coming out. Falco, he doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be here anymore. Wardane's found him. He's chasing him down. He's saying, where are you at? But Norskeren, he's going to go back into the top lane. That was a 2-0, and this will be the last inhibitor turret falling. So all the inhibitor. And Caps, they found him. They found where he was at. And Falco will go back to base. But I think this game is pretty done for.
Yep, Mouse finally able to close this one out. It was a pretty easy win condition for them. They just needed to go up to the top lane, use the Baron minions to close things out, and they are going to take their first game of the Challenger Series, exactly what they needed, back on the road into the Challenger Series.
Yeah, very solid from Mousesports. It was a little shaky just before we had that pause because G2V, they picked up a good team fight, but after that, they just went back to what worked for them in the early and mid game, just pick after pick after pick, into tower after tower, and then they just kind of won the game.
They certainly did. We were discussing about what Mouse needed to do, and then suddenly they kicked into action. Yeah, they just did it. Caps demonstrating that he does know how to play LeBlanc, and this is how you don't allow the LeBlanc curse to happen. Notice he has a score of 4-1. You sandbag early, you allow the laning phase, but you just kind of, you're a presence as LeBlanc. This is one of the great things about the champion, because people are naturally afraid of her simply because of her reputation. Right? If somebody picks up a LeBlanc, you're just like, I'm going to sit over here, and you can just do your thing. And
especially when they triple banned him as well.
You know, so this guy clearly has a lot of respect, and the fact that he was just roaming around the map made G2 very afraid to force any plays. The one time they do, they get themselves the team fight at the Dragon, which works out beautifully for them, but it just doesn't matter because Caps constantly, the way he played that fight around the Baron was just exquisite. In and out all the time, relying on his distortion, knowing that he had the cooldown reduction to facilitate at least 30% with the Morello and the Abyssal. Just fantastic stuff from him.
I think there was a lot of players who had really good position in this game because as good as Caps was, I also want to praise Sao. Even though he lost the game, that amazing rend at that fight and just the way he kited around was fantastic. He was kind of like leaving Falco to die a lot of the time. Like in that last fight, he was like on 5% running away from his life and he pulled him back in.
You got this?
And he was like through at the opponents. And then somehow I think Falco made out alive, so Sao got punished for that. But no, there was actually a lot of good plays from both teams. So I'm excited to see G2V again because I think they could be a contender against other teams. But I was genuinely happy to see how Mousesports performed with this lineup, especially Caps.
Upset as well. I mean, 8-1-5 at the end of that game. Can't fault him. Right? Like, he did a lot of damage in those team fights. He quickly got those item spikes that he needed, and really impressive. So Mouse, with the new lineup, looking pretty promising. We'll have to see how they move on into day 2. Yeah,
that does draw today's games to a finish, however, so let's see where the teams currently stand. We can take a look at that one in a second. So you can see that win coming in from Misfits, currently 1-0, and then SK also 1-0, and so are Fnatic.
Yeah, as well as Kick. They ended up taking their win over Ceph6. 4G. Long game up against Euronics, but they were able to take that one as well, and Mal's doing a fantastic job. Really looking forward to seeing these teams play up against each other once again tomorrow. And remember to tune in, because at 5 PM CEST, that is when Misfits will take on Fnatic Academy in our first game of the day.
And be sure also to check out Mousesports if you missed any of the action from today, because there was a lot of that action. That 1 hour epic is something to catch up on if you did miss it. So definitely check that out on the VODs Hub. But that does it for day 1 of the European Challenger Series Summer Qualifiers. But we have another 4 days of the groups coming up after this. So from myself, Fedius, and the rest of the Challenger broadcast team, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Everything is not enough. There's too much to stay. They can't kill him, but Misfits can sure as hell kill the rest of the team.
Losing the game.
Kurnos is going to go down here. A beautiful hook on this.
SK immediately running into the jungle and just burning that one down, but this could be the fight.
Moving forward, Vlad's going to use the ultimate Hemo Plague. Gets the ult on 2. Bullet time on the backside, though, doing so much damage. First blood for Tricked, but Ruin is in the middle of the team. He hops over the wall. Maokai cannot follow, but on the hunt, burning the top lane. They're ready for the fight. They have the 2.5 seconds of invulnerability. They're going to try to find a kill. In the meantime, they're flashing forward, but it's not enough. Bardags just popped in an instant. Braum is still up. Tarek could be next. New Vlad, so much power in the...
Oh, no.
Nope. Oh, no, here comes Gnar, Emperor's Divide. Fiddle caught out, left alone, but he's going to get the ult on multiple members. Invulnerability coming in. Can they turn this one around? Cassadar, he can do a lot of damage, but suddenly he's the only man in the back lines. Ruin, though, keep your eyes on that Gnar. And you know the fight is coming. World taking a lot of damage, but Subjugate goes down. He smacks 2 into the wall. Impaler, he has the ultimate. He burns it down, but he's outside of it. Great cast coming in from Memento.
Ready to throw a cast down in an instant, and Exort gonna land that one easily. Whirlip though.
Ooh, so much burn damage. A great cast.
Still, can Fnatic get it? 3K over the wall.
Oh, he's gonna get it! Impaler! What a god! Impaler, last hope for the team, but not nearly enough. His low priority make a commanding statement.
Dropping very low. Here comes the TP just on that minion. So keeping that one alive. Nick looking for the engage here, but he's really looking for it. They may be just overcommitting. Maokai is down, really, before the rest of the team can capitalize. That is his Guardian Angel, but they're going to have to kill him once again. Syncroft into his ultimate. The chase being pushed back. A triple bubble out from Super Ace. Will that be the turning point? Doesn't look like it. Super Ace is getting chased down. Syncroft dropping. Kepe, he's looking for the third kill. That is a triple kill. Over.
Didn't have the ultimate. Speaking of ultimates,
phones, he's being caught out. There's the fully charged calling onto him. Wait, did he have those on?
I don't know if they can pull it off though.
Send out. He's just dead.
You saw Inkos down in the bottom lane getting caught out, and they could look for catch someone out now.
Northscoring coming in with the combo. Mini Duke is just so dead.
Am I going crazy, or was the first game also Cloud Ocean?
No, it was. I think it was.
Was it Cloud Ocean?
No, it was. I think it was Cloud. Wait, was this? No, but except this game was Cloud Ocean. Last game was Cloud Ocean. Because this game there's been 4 dragons, right? Yeah. It was Cloud Ocean last game. It was Cloud Ocean this game. You gotta. It's like Bop It, man. You can't mix up the pattern.